perfect now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, perfect. So thanks for the introduction, Caroline. So just a little bit more about myself. So I'm running the Slieve Elva B&B here in Leeds, just outside the town of Leeds-Varna in County Clare, together with my wife. So I'm not going to say I'm the owner. I'm going to say I'm the co-owner, just to keep everything in the middle there. Um, I'm also at the moment, since last year, I'm also involved as general manager of Lisbon Varna Falche here in town, where I manage the local childcare center, the playground, sports facilities, the pavilion town hall, Spowell sites, and park and all, which is a whole new thing to me there. But it's a great experience there, and it gives me a lot. I'm also involved in the local. I took over the local scouts group a few years back to save it from going down after COVID. So I'm involved in quite a few bits and pieces here. We are also members of the Burren Ecotourism Network or the BEN network here in the Burren, where I'm also the lead of the environmental and sustainability pillar of BEN. So basically, they adapted their whole new code of practice and everything with the geopark, and they put in a new structure in place which exists out of four pillars, and environmental and sustainability is one of them, which I'm leading. A little bit more about the B&B now. So we're a very small scale B&B. Uh, the B&B basically we moved because you probably heard it already. I'm not native Irish. In 2014, I moved with my wife to Ireland. Originally, we're from Belgium. We got pregnant from our first son, and we decided, okay, we wanted a whole new life with everything we were doing in Belgium. So we decided to move to Ireland, follow our dreams a little bit, and we took over a B&B. It was already a B&B that was already in place, but it's quite neglected by the previous owners. It was a very old farmhouse building, uh, very poor insulation, all that kind of stuff, you name it. So it was really like stepping back in time for us. So we moved just a year before we decided to move to Ireland. We built a brand new house in Belgium, which was in line with all the latest regulations regarding insulation and you name it. So when we took over the B&B here in Ireland and we arrived at the house, like it was kind of a shock in the very beginning, just stepping that much back in time, because we came back in a house with single glazed windows, for example. So yeah, where only I think only for since 5 years before we arrived, they only had were connected to the mains, for example. Therefore, they were they get their water from a small reservoir on the hill and all, which I could never imagine that would even was even happening still at this time. So there was a lot to consider for us how to get the house back onto a proper level that we felt comfortable with and that we could open the B&B for the guests. So we started out to do the first improvements to the old farmhouse. And because, like I said, we built a brand new house in Belgium, a lot of our money was in there. And you know how it goes. If you have to sell a brand new house on the market, you always lose money. You will never earn money from that. So we were quite tight on budget that we had available. So we needed to find ways how we could have everything worked and still started to upgrade the house. So the first thing what we did is actually like they call that the low hanging fruits and all. So we did some very light improvements, which resulted in a direct results. So for example, there was a very old lighting. So we changed the lights with all proper LED lighting. Then we took on the single glazed windows in the house, which made a massive difference on the energy bill, of course, as you can imagine. So those are a few things that we started to do in the farmhouse to get the B&B more up and running and all. When we really got into the sustainability part of it was actually during the time of COVID. Just tried to get the best out of it. We were locked up even here in rural Ireland, where even with the initial uh, things were in place that we couldn't get out of the house or only for 2.5K at certain points. That wasn't even enough for us to get out of to the end of the street, for example. So you really were locked up in our own house. And for us, it was actually the ideal time to start doing some online courses and just getting to see what can we do more to get the house more sustainable and all that kind of thing. So we started to do courses. It was a time that SEIA, like Lawrence mentioned, started with the Energy Academy. So they only had a very few amount of courses in the very beginning, but eagerly jumped on them, and I just spent my time during COVID following all kinds of online courses, also through Climate Ready Academy, and even through Sustainable Travel Ireland. So in 2021, we joined the Burren Tourism Network, and we started our code of practice for the Burren Cliffs of Moher UNESCO Global Geopark. So the Burren Tourism Network is actually a network of 65 businesses here in the Burren, who work together, who collaborate together, and we run by the code of practice of the geopark here. So that means every year we fill out the code of practice, and we keep, uh, we fill out what we do for us to be more sustainable, all the actions we're taking. We fill out KPIs, all that kind of stuff, and we join them in. At the same time, we also joined in with Sustainable Travel Ireland. Now, at the moment, they rebranded last year to Sustainable Tourism Network Ireland. Still the same organization anyway. And eventually in 2023, so it took us 2 years to reach that, we achieved the gold certification for sustainability in line with the GSTC. And we were the first B&B in Ireland to basically get the gold certification. So for us, that was it was a very big step to do and all, but it was a fairly long process, especially for a small B&B like us. Like it's much more easier if you have a big hotel or you have a big business where you have your own green team that can work with everything we did. We had to do in between all the work we were doing in the B&B actually. So, but we managed, and we're actually proud that we now, as a small B&B, prove to other much bigger organizations that you can do things even with limited budgets. There are still a lot of things you can do to get you onto that sustainability journey. So stop hiding and saying, oh, we don't have budget for this, or we can't do that. Like, we are proving that you can do it. So basically, what we started out with, you need to get a clear usage on everything, on your full scope of your organizations. And the first thing is you need to know what you're using. So basically, we started measuring everything we did, and we just did it in our daily routine. So once a week, for example, we just started to check out our electricity readings. We went outside for the water meter. We read the water meter. We filled everything out in a small Excel data sheet, something like that. And at least we did that for a full year. And that set our baseline of all the things we were doing or we were using, energy, waste, yeah, you name it. So you need to get an idea about that. And then you need to start looking at numbers, thinking about, okay, the usage, the electricity usage that we have here, is that normal? What are the big consumers in the house? So we started to analyze all those kind of things. And that made us aware of, okay, like we have a lot of electricity use coming from appliances that are kept running for the whole night, for example. But it gets you an idea about what you're doing in your house. But that's the first thing. You need to establish your baseline to know what you're doing and to know where you can improve, actually. So build it into your routine once a week, once every 2 weeks, depending on your business, what's easy for yourself. For ourselves, we are a small B&B. We rent out 5 rooms. And for us, we have a very close connection with all our guests and suppliers. And that's a very important step in your growth to sustainability. So it's not only about saving in energy, it's also about creating awareness and staying in touch with all your stakeholders, basically. Our biggest thing in the very beginning, and I'm glad that Lawrence was just in front of me here. He talked about a lot of grants these days that are available. Now, the problem with the grants are a lot of them are for bigger businesses and not for smaller family-run businesses as ourselves. So when we started onto our journey to sustainability, most of the things that we did, we had to pay from our own pockets. There was no real grant support. Now, I must say the first grant support that we got was indeed towards the installation of our solar system. And then we got a grant at that time. It was €3,000 that we could get. So we installed a 6 kilowatt system with an 8 kilowatt battery, and we got some grant for that one. But all the rest that we did, we just tried to do some easy things, start the savings that we did from those easy things, we were using them to start the next projects, and we tried to build things up actually. So what we did, we started, I mentioned it before, we started with the low-hanging fruits, which are small investments with immediate savings. For example, water saving measures you can easily install. They're not expensive at all, like all those water flow restrictors, or you can put in like those hypo bags for in the toilets and all that. You can change your shower heads, for example, and that's immediately a reduction in your water usage, for example. We also, as I said, we changed the LED lightnings. So that was an immediate, I think the total cost of changing to LED lighting over the whole business was about, I think it was about 600 euro in total. We have a lot of lights around here, but that 600 euro we earn back basically after 1 year already. So that says enough about what you can save in a very short time with just a minimum on investments. We also installed thermostatic valves on the radiators, for example, because there were some old valves. Some of them you couldn't even close. So if you put on the heating, it was going in the whole house, which wasn't needed. So we installed thermostatic valves and all those simple things gives you immediate savings, and we went from there basically. So those immediate savings led to bigger projects as our solar PV. And in the pictures, as you can see at the moment, we installed an EV charger a few years back. 2 years ago, we had the money saved also through the savings, and we installed a polytunnel in the house. So we're now providing our own vegetables, our own herbs and spices for the B&B. We grow our own tomatoes and you name it. And last year, I started to work, and as you can see on the picture there, that's a swim pond we actually installed. And that enhances biodiversity. So that's another important part of becoming more sustainable, is just improving biodiversity around your business. So by installing that swim pond, which we never thought it would have been possible by now, but we did it. I completely did it myself, but now it's an eye catcher at the moment, and the guests love it when they come around actually. So we started very small by changing LED lights eventually, and now we got our own swim pond in the garden there. So then a few other things that we started to do on the pictures there. First of all, you got our QR code on the screen there. The QR code basically replaces our business cards. It's a very small step, just getting less paper use. So basically what we do, we have a QR code in the B&B, and that brings you directly to our website and all that kind of stuff. Just small savings on office supplies and all that kind of stuff. Other things that we are doing, we renovated our rooms. And another big thing, what they say about waste in your business, like cut down on the food waste and live by recycling, reusing, upcycling, all that kind of stuff. So what we do, you see a picture of one of our bedrooms there. They all have old furniture in it. So it was old furniture. You could see it was worn down and all. What I did, rather than throwing that away and putting in brand new furniture, we gave it a nice sanding. We gave it a nice paint job, and the whole room looked like new, as you can see there. So it's a very easy things to do, rather than, and it all gets your waste amount down basically. We also invested in proper sustainable bed linen, towels, all that kind of stuff. We put policies in place regarding the towels, all savings that we could make there. Now I know, like, if you have to change your bed linen, for example, if you go on the sustainable way, and you will notice that with everything what you do, if you for example, if you change to full biodegradable produce, which we have done at the B&B here, so we have no chemicals anymore. We have full biodegradable products, cleaning products, even for outside. It costs you more money, and you need to be aware of that. So it's not all about savings, it's also about doing good. But anyway, like, it costs you a little bit more, but at the end, it's worth the investment there. You can see the kitchen there. It's also, rather than putting in a whole brand new kitchen, I just repainted the whole kitchen, which gives a whole new vibe to the house. Should have put in a picture of the old kitchen to give to see the difference. What else we do in the B&B, and which is basically trying to get our food waste down. We try to do that with putting in menus for the guests by asking them upfront, for example, what they want for breakfast. So we don't take orders in the morning itself. We always take orders in the morning, in the evening before or during check-in, so that we exactly know what guests want for breakfast. We do everything ourselves here. So we use local produce. So everything we use in the B&B is sourced maximum 20-25K from the B&B, and we have wonderful produce here in the Burren, so we are very lucky with that one. And we do everything ourselves also. So we do our own homemade jams. I even make my own butter here at the B&B. We have homemade breads here, you name it. And it's all those little savings. So you're doing much better for the environment. We have green purchase policies in place, for example. And it's all those savings by doing those things yourself, that gets us, yeah, that gives us the room to further improve, to do more savings there and invest in other things. And also the most important thing is it's take the guests on the journey with us, because they are confronted, they get all proper homemade food, locally sourced food. We involve them in everything. So I told it before, creating awareness is a very big thing for your guests. So we immerse them in everything. So we have a full library of local books that goes over the heritage, over biodiversity, over all the fauna and the flora here in the Burren. We As part of our certification, you have to make your own SMS system, or so your sustainable management system. You have to have everything in place there. But everything we've done so far, all the audits we went through for the B&B, all the reports we made, we have them in a folder, and the folder, it shows in the picture there, that folder is fully accessible for the guests. So it's all about being transparent about everything you do in your own business. And that's a very important thing. So I said, creating awareness and communication. Now, we don't want to overload guests with like rooms that have been wallpapered with signs and all. You don't want to do that, but you try to do it a kind of a different way. So it's all about, you can't change all the habits for people. And we notice, for example, like you see the pictures there for the shower, we encourage guests to take one song shower just to reduce their water usage. It's an easy thing to do, but rather than telling them, no, you have to make a shower, you can only take a 3-minute shower, for example. If you point it out directly to guests, a lot of them won't abide by it. But if you do it on a little, yeah, with some humorous way, or it's much easier for guests to accept, and they will go with you on that. So we have some policies in place. We have signs up in the breakfast room. We have signs up in the room itself. Another thing that we do is all the emails we send out, for example, all the communication with guests, we always mention, like we have a little footer there in the corner. We always mention the programs that we are supporting, just to create that further awareness. We do a lot like for biodiversity, so we don't mow the whole year round. We only mow our lawn. Our big field is only mown once a year, so we have a big meadow created at the moment with full of wildflowers, all that kind of stuff. And I know a lot of people think now, what would guests think about? Because they come onto a place and it looks full of weeds and things like that. Like, there are some expectations from guests, but I'm always saying it's all about communicating. And the first thing that guests see when they drive up to the B&B, they get that sign there that says, "Pardon the weeds, we're feeding the bees." And the first thing, guests come into the B&B and said, "Oh, it's actually great. Like oh, geez, it's a great idea to do it like that." And they don't mind that weeds are growing on your car park because they know why you do it. And I think a lot of businesses are in fear a bit about what guests might think. Maybe their place might look a little bit more untidy because of that. But we've noticed over the couple of years that we're doing this now, that guests are much more accessible onto that, and that guests actually appreciate all the kinds of effort you do with that. So take your guests onto the journey with you. And this is just a little bit proof. These are two of the plenty of reviews we get from guests. So I've put them in just to show you that guests are really appreciating everything you do here. And they say it yourself, like they didn't expect. They were very impressed with everything that we're doing. Even reusing of the towels, they mention it specifically. You might think, okay, but if I force guests to use towels for 2 days in a row, they might not like that. No, they do. They all understand why you do it, and that's why it is so important to do all these kind of things. So another thing that I mentioned, and it's also a very important thing, is engage with all your stakeholders. That can be your travel organizations that you work with, that can be all your producers that you work with, that can be your local organizations. Because it's also a very important thing to becoming more sustainable, is have that connection with all those organizations in your own environment. For us, it's very easy. We have a local tidy towns. We have the Burren Bio Trust around the corner here. We are involved with the Burren Ecotourism Network. We have the town itself. We support local business, local schools, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's so important to get your whole community on the journey with yourself. So we are business members of the Burren Bio Trust. You pay a yearly fee to them to support their biodiversity works and their heritage and preservation works. We also organize a lot of ourselves. We help out with beach cleans. So we organize about 5 to 6 beach cleans in the area over the year. And we always join in ourselves, and that's usually through we try to involve all other organizations. So Tidy Towns joins in, even our Scouts group joins in with the kids who would love to do all those kind of stuff. So we're heavily involved in everything we can, and that's also a very important thing. You can't do the sustainability journey on your own. Yes, you can do it if it's energy saving wise for your own business, but you have to engage with all the stakeholders that you have to make it a successful story. So just to get like, because people can say, what does that result in? So I just put a few numbers, and that's 2019. We made our baseline, so we started to get our numbers, write down everything, and compared to 2024, for example, our electricity use dropped by 64%. Now, it would have been a little bit lower even, but, and you can see it further on the slide, like what we did, we changed to a full electric car. We changed all our old fuel consuming garden appliances with full electric garden appliances. So you will eventually, by replacing one thing, you will eventually use more electricity, of course. But anyway, like the electricity, because we have the solar system in place, we have the battery in place, like at the end, it costs us a lot less than before. And we have the green energy here from the solar panels and everything. Another thing, water usage dropped down by 32%. The landfill dropped down by 58%, which is a massive reduction there also. Our food waste, and that's just by adapting our portion sizes to the guests and using full circle produce. So what we do, for example, rather than throwing things away, like if I make apple pies, for example, rather than throwing away the cores and the peelings, I make an applesauce with them. So instead of throwing away, for example, yeah, I also started to brew some beer in the B&B. So what I do when the spent grain from the beer, I use to make breads. And I've done some cheese making on the side also. Yes, you can think, oh, cheese is doing a lot. I know. But so from the cheese making, I make some cheese, and rather than throwing away the whey from the cheese, I use that to make my pancakes. So we try to reuse a lot of our stuff, and that was resulted in this massive reduction of food waste of 89%. Um, the biggest change we also did is 2 years ago when we stopped using our oil burner and we changed to a bio LPG. And all the actions we've done at the B&B, and I can easily talk 2 hours about everything we did. So I would clearly ask everyone, if you want to know what we're doing, just get on our socials or get on the website. We have a full list of everything we're doing and everything we're planning to do. Or even I would invite everyone to drop by, even pay us a visit and check things out for yourself. But all these things resulted that our carbon footprint per guest in 2019, it was 3.265 kg, and that dropped down now to below zero. So to just above zero, it's only to 0.029 kg per guest, actually, which is almost a reduction of 98% in the carbon footprint. Now, I have to be honest, we're only taking scope 1 and scope 2 here, because for those that know about all the scopes, you have scope 1, 2, and 3, but scope 3 is very hard to prove, especially if you are in tourism, in hospitality, because there's no way you can calculate the journey the guests make to your B&B and all. So there is a lot of work being done at the moment and research on how they would do future reporting with scope 3. So our scope 3 isn't included in this one. So these are the numbers for our scope 1 and scope 2. So I hope this gives a little bit an idea of what we've done in the B&B here. So yeah.